Welcome to Canadian Innovators, the show that celebrates innovation, entrepreneurs, and the Canadian spirit. I'm Jocelyn, and every week we introduce a new entrepreneur or expert in the economy to tell their stories and unpack the challenges of keeping jobs in Canada, as well as discuss potential solutions for job growth and prosperity. The ESG movement has become all the rage with the woke corporations of late. It is not enough that small to medium-sized business must deal with rising prices, supply chain challenges, lack of employees. They now must meet the requirements of large corporations demanding nebulous ESG policies. Joining us to discuss this today and back for return engagement is Dr. Jack Mintz. Dr. Mintz is the President's Fellow of the School of Public Policy at the University of Calgary. He's currently chair of the Alberta Premier's Economic Recovery Council. He also serves on the board of Imperial Oil Limited and Alberta Health Services. He is a distinguished fellow with the Macdonald-Laurier Institute, senior fellow at C.D. Howe Institute, and research fellow at International Tax and Investment Center in Washington, D.C. He's been awarded the Order of Canada in 2015, as well as receiving the Queen's Elizabeth Diamond Jubilee Medal in 2012. He is an economic professor in universities around Canada and the United States. Welcome back to the program, Dr. Mintz.
My pleasure, Jocelyn.
Dr. Mintz, can you tell the viewers who might not know about the ESG movement, what it's about? Can you give us a Reader's Digest lesson, please?
Well, I could actually take up the whole program just talking about what ESG actually means, but doing it as briefly as I can. The E stands for environment, S stands for social, and G stands for governance. And what various rating agencies do is that they have a whole bunch of factors underlying each of these categories, and they try to evaluate companies in terms of their ability to meet the requirements of environmental, social, and governance demands that could impact their sustainability. And the big one, let's be honest, is climate change. Which is under the environment category. There's other environmental issues too that are important that one should not forget, but climate change is the big one. And of course, there are three types of climate change data that companies are being asked to provide. One is called Scope 1, which is the actual greenhouse gas emissions that a company emits through its operations. Scope 2 is the emissions associated with the supplies that the company might purchase in terms of energy from other companies, for example. And Scope 3 is right through the whole supply chain. For example, if you're a small oil and gas, let's say, service company, you might have to take into account the whole value added associated with your activities in terms of all the greenhouse gas emissions that are associated with it. And of course, that's both upstream and downstream. And so that's a huge issue of complexity for many companies.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one that a small company like our company is being faced with. And it just adds huge cost and complexity to running your operations. Thank you for that overview. Many economists and political commentators have drawn a link between the United Nations sustainability goals, the World Economic Forum, and the ESG movement. We got about a minute left, but could you comment upon this?
Well, yes. I mean, there's actually, a whole bunch of promoters now of ESG. It includes asset management companies like BlackRock. It includes financial companies that are lending money. It also includes various governments, et cetera. They all have their fingers in the pie to try to promote ESG. It'll either come through financial markets or will come through regulations imposed by governments.
Yeah, and it is very complex. Elon Musk called ESG a scam, and Warren Buffett called ESG asinine. Can you shed some light on their thoughts? We just have about 30 seconds left.
Well, I think for many investors, they are mainly interested in the rate of return on their investments. And what they're seeing now is that actually ESG has not provided the returns that they thought they were going to get. In fact, there's been some let's say, fall back in terms of the amount of money that's been going into ESG funds. It did grow quite a bit in 2020. in terms of the amount of money that went into ESG funds. But now that's actually been pulled back recently.